Miss Tammy Truman, ladies and gentlemen. A true Renaissance woman. There you go. Thank you so much. Yeah, look at that. It pays to be the MC.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ben. Just gonna put this, there we go. Okay, am I speaking close enough? Can everyone hear me? Well, thumbs up at the back row. Okay. So, hello, Ben. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction. A lot of you here know about my love for football. Well, hockey, of course, too, and that's more relevant right now, but I'm also a huge football fan. I talk about that all the time. However, tonight's theme is just a little different. And Ben, your Crohn's humor can't be touched, but I do hope you enjoy this one. An old man and his wife had gone to bed. Well, after laying there a few minutes, the old man farts and says, 7 points. His wife rolls over and says, what the world was that? The old man replied, it's fart football. Well, a few minutes later, the wife lets one go and says, touchdown, tie score. 5 minutes later, the old man farts again, says, touchdown, I'm ahead, 14-7. Well, not to be outdone, the wife rips another one and says, touchdown, tie score. 5 seconds go by, she lets out a squeaker, says field goal, I lead, 17-14. Well, now the pressure's on, and the old man refuses to get beat by a woman, so he strains real hard, but to no avail. Realizing a defeat is totally unacceptable, he gives it everything he has, and instead of farting, he poops the bed. The wife looks and says, what was that? Old man replies, halftime, switch sides. My family, and one of those 26 nieces and nephews, is probably shaking her head right now. As for many years after the family dinners, somehow the conversation turned to comments about the bowels. Could be that it just seemed an excuse for them, as I was always getting out of dishes, as you all know where I was after eating dinner. But if you don't suffer from the disease, it's a hard thing to wrap your head around. But tonight, I hope you agree, it really is appropriate conversation. Spring of '92, I woke up with stomach pains. Terrible pains. Now at first I thought it was my sister's bad cooking, as I was spending the weekend with her in Regina. I was hoping it would disappear, because I knew if it didn't, it was going to be a long drive back to Calgary. Well, sadly, it was a long drive. Many doctor's appointments later, many tests, and many months of pain, I remember vividly the phone call. 3 months later, on my 30th birthday, from the family doctor's receptionist. You have Crohn's disease. I'm not normally a gal without words, but I couldn't get anything out. And it's not that the word was foreign to me. In fact, it's the opposite, as I had a sister who had been diagnosed 8 years previously. So I thought, I know what this is all about. Well, I thought wrong. You soon discover that no two people are alike with this disease. What works for one doesn't work at all for the other. And so, like many of you probably in this room tonight, my challenge began. Sadly for me, I had no idea of the top-notch gastroenterologists we had here in our city, or the world-class research center and the new drugs that they were working on. So, I was one of those people that was put on the old standby drug prednisone. Well, like most, I blew up like a balloon. I like to think I looked like a pregnant chipmunk, whatever that might look like. That's what I felt I was. My face was a round ball. The intestines, however, did not respond. I was told there was no more options. So in December of 1992, I underwent the knife and had 3 feet, or almost a meter for you younger folk, of intestine removed. So after recovery, I carried on, although a tad differently, as the missing intestine has its own ramifications, but I learned to adapt. I read and I researched all I could about the disease. So when the pain struck again 5 years later, I knew I had to get in to see Dr. Remo Panaccioni. The referral letters were sent, and I'm forever grateful that Dr. Remo agreed to see me. I would not be standing here today if it was not for him. We tried some different medications, but they did not agree with me. Don't worry, Dr. Remo, I won't tell that story. I'll just say that I was very allergic to them. So Dr. Remo chatted about the research center and how they were experimenting with different drugs, and would I be interested? I wasn't stuck for words this time. Yes. Another surgery with more intestine removed was not an option for me. By now, my business was full throttle. I was living a good life, involved in numerous activities, and very few people knew I had this disease. I felt that in business, if you were seen as sick, or people knew you have a disease, you'll be looked on as weak, and that you can't handle the challenges of life. It's not right, I know, but I thrived on moving ahead and not sharing that I was always dealing with this underlying disease. And so my journey into the world-class research center right here at the Foothills Hospital began. I was in the first trial group for a drug called Humira. It was a weekly injection into the thigh. I remember the first few times trying to get that needle to go in, the sweat pouring off my brow, but with a nurse's great help, it soon became no problem. Excuse me. It meant weekly and then monthly trips to the foothills for many years. But this is no problem when you're feeling great and you know you're being monitored for anything adverse. The care and concern shown by Dr. Remo and his staff was amazing. I had access 24/7 for any issues. So I'm happy that I had an influence with this drug, and it is now one of the approved Crohn's treatments. Spending time at the research center, I saw a lot of young medical students who were interested in furthering their studies in the gastro field, and I wanted to start giving back. So I provided 5 years of scholarships to grad students who wanted to further their education in the intestinal field during the summer. Someday, these amazing doctors that we now have will retire, so it's important to have a new batch ready to fill the shoes when the old guys call it quits. 6 years of Humira, and sadly, the drug stopped working. But by now, another drug that had been researched right here, again at our research center, it was approved. So I was on to Remicade. It's administered through IV over a 2-hour process in a medical setting in case of any adverse reactions to the drug. If you look at the possible side effects, some of you may wonder, why would you do that? I think the answer is easy. Quality of life and trust in my doctor and the research that's being done right here in our city. I'm in constant contact with Dr. Remo and his team, and I'm coming on 6 years. And so, since my track record is 6 years of remission at a time, the continuing research is so important, so that other options are available until a cure is found. Surgery can have a lot of complications, and I know of no other disease that cutting out a portion of the body is considered a cure. When the pain hits, it's severe. To me, it feels like someone's taking a knife and continually stabbing you in the same spot, over and over and over. I know every bathroom spot in this city, which ones are clean, which ones are single stall, which has multiple stalls, and which ones I can get into with the least amount of people to see me. There's always Kleenex in my purse and a roll of paper in the car, just in case. The money raised here tonight goes directly to more research and the dream for so many of us that we could have a one-stop shop for anyone who suffers Crohn's or colitis. Everyone is aware of the Tom Baker Cancer Center. Well, this would be the IBD Wellness Center. No running around from one end of the city to the other for various procedures. A walk-in clinic exclusively for IBD patients, where the doctors would all be specialized, have full access to your medical records, the ability to get a colonoscopy or abdominal ultrasound right away to see what's happening with your disease. A place where the research would also be ongoing, so you could decide if you might be a candidate for something new. As a Crohn's survivor, we don't look back. I refuse to let this disease run my life. We look ahead to the new drugs that are being worked on every day here at our research center and the hope of a one-stop new treatment center. We keep our eyes fixed on the positives. Tonight, with your help, we have the ability to make a crappy disease much more tolerant and improve the lives of many. Together, we can do it. Thank you for your support.